George Michail.
And my book is Cover Darkness from Source Point Press. If we can get a plug in there somewhere.
No. I'm gonna introduce you in just a second, and you got the floor, man. You do whatever you want. What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to Horror Hangout, man, the podcast. It's been a little while. Haven't had a guest in a bit. You know, holiday season, all kinds of weird stuff happening here and there. So, got a special guest today. This is somebody that's just kind of popped up out of nowhere. It just kind of happened, which I think is awesome. That's the way I like to do things. This is George Michail. He came in my shop when I had a shop in Katy, and that's how we met. So I know him from like what, almost 3 years ago now, right? It's been a long time.
Yeah, it was a while.
Yeah, but anyways, writer, artist, comic book. Dude, introduce yourself, man. What you been up to?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is George Michail. My name is George Michail. I'm a comic book writer for Source Point Press. My comic is called Cover Darkness. It's like Game of Thrones meets Universal Monsters. And yeah, it's fun. There's twin shape-shifting boys within this like family that gets separated from each other. So when they run into the monsters, you get like gorillas fighting werewolves. It's bonkers. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, we met when I was on a road trip. I was doing like
Dude, you were like hustling your books out of your car.
Yeah.
No, yeah. When you said Source Point Press, it just dawned on me that like, I mean, I'm really happy for you. That's awesome. Like,
thanks, man.
Dude, that's legit. Is it? Are you doing single issues right now, or are you doing just the trade still? Because at the time, didn't you have it in like a volume? Whenever we talked, it was like 2 or 3 volumes you had, maybe more than that even. Can't remember. It's my memory is terrible.
Yeah, when we met, I was slinging graphic novels, sleeping in my van at like truck stops, going to shows, really hustling it. Now issue 1 is coming out in stores February 9th. So away here.
That's amazing. Dude, that's so badass. I'm really happy for you because like, while I've never done that with comic books, I have 100% done that with music. So I know what it's like to sleep in a van. I know what it's like to sleep outside of a truck stop on the concrete. I know what it's like to sleep and take showers for like $5. Then you gotta wear sandals because you don't know what's on the floor. Like, yeah, been there, done that, man. That's it's a rough life, but there is a certain amount of like freedom that comes with that because you can literally just kind of like, you know, I feel like driving to Arkansas. So if you got the money to do it, you can just go somewhere. Like, there is benefits to living like that. If you don't have kids and stuff, man, I say that's probably a pretty cool way to live.
Oh, I only did it for a month because it was rough.
It's tough. It's rough.
It felt kind of rock and roll, but it also kind of felt like I was like that homeless guy down by the river in a van.
Oh, there's definitely cons too. So, and it was just you by yourself, huh?
Yeah.
It would get a little lonely and boring doing it solo for more than a month or 2. I mean, shoot, I don't think I did it for more than 6 weeks. And I had like friends with me. Yeah, I think probably 6 weeks was as much as I spent like out living in like a van with my buddies. But I mean, we had buddies. Although, again, pros and cons, living with your buddies, man, that is not a lot of space for 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, that'd be a lot.
That's pretty cool. Well, we linked up on Facebook. We were just kind of farting around in a Facebook group because, you know, we got the Horror Hangout Facebook group, and it's a fairly small group right now. Hopefully that'll change. It'll grow. There's a link in the description if you're interested in that at all. And we were talking about, we just so happen to have like the same favorite horror movie, Scream. So we're going to talk today about Scream 5, Scream 2022, whatever you want to call it. This is going to be a spoiler talk. We're going to talk about the movie for a little bit, and we'll probably talk about the other films in the franchise as well. So if it's something that you don't want to hear any kind of spoilers about, you know, I guess see you when you're ready for that. But otherwise, we're going to start talking about Scream a little bit. Don't forget to hit the like button, comment, you know, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Trying to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. We're like 50 away. It's a pretty big goal we're trying to hit. So, but yeah, man, it's wild that this just kind of this is how I do people, man. I just be like, yeah, you want to jump on the show? Like, I got a bunch of people that I'm just talking with, like, because it's very, very casual. I don't have any you know, I'm pretty flexible with anything. I don't really care. Talk about whatever somebody wants to. So Scream, I was a little surprised that was your favorite. I don't know a lot of people that tell me Scream is their favorite. It's Terrifier is slowly creeping up my list to being my favorite, but I don't know that it'll ever be able to fully dethrone Scream just because of what Scream meant to me when I was in high school. So like, I think there's a part of that. Even if Terrifier is my favorite, I think they're basically 1 and 1A. Like they're just gonna have to share the throne for a while. But when I heard about this new movie, man, I was very nervous. How'd you feel when you saw that? When you saw that it was coming out, how'd you feel about it?
Well, I was psyched. Yeah, like Scream's my favorite. I just turned 40, so you know,
I turned 40 in like about 5 weeks.
So yeah, so we're like the same age. Yeah, so like this was part of like my high school, was the first Scream and the second Scream, and yeah, no, I loved it. I discovered the first one on VHS. I saw the second one in theaters, and
exactly what I did too.
The third one was kind of a letdown for me. The fourth one I liked, but it wasn't like all-time great by any means. So you know, the franchise overall has been pretty solid. So going into the fifth one, I was looking forward to it. It's been like 10 years since the last one, so it's like, all right, let's do this.
So man, we have the exact same experience because I felt the same way about 1 and 2. 3 was kind of like meh. 4 was like, that was better. Except that when I saw that 5 was coming out, I was really nervous because Wes is no longer here, and I was like, you know. But then I started thinking like, okay, out of all the horror franchises that I can think of, all of them, I think Scream might be the most consistent. And so I was like, okay, knowing that, what kind of person would go, all right, I got this idea for Scream 5, and then bring something to the table that's not of the same caliber? Because if you do that, you're going to be the fool. You're the laughing stock. You will probably ruin your career. So I was like, okay, knowing that, like I gotta have faith in them that they're going to execute in a way that I'll enjoy.
I did. I liked it a lot. I felt like it was kind of written by fans a little bit, like people who grew up loving these characters, and they put a lot into it. So yeah, I really liked, you know, to get right into it, like the Carpenter sisters. I like that element, especially with Samantha being Billy Loomis's you know, daughter. Yeah. And then him and her seeing him. I didn't know that going into the movie, so that was a big surprise for me.
That might be the only thing that I didn't like about it.
What?
Dude, no. Like, if you're gonna have him in the movie, have him in the movie in some other way. I thought that was a little silly. But you know, I also like silly stuff. So I don't know. I think if I had to nitpick, that would be the one thing I didn't care for. And I'm saying like nitpick because I still think this is like a 9 out of 10 movie, man. This is a really, really solid movie. I would say probably the second best in the whole franchise, even. Like, so I'm really, really nitpicking. I'm not actually complaining about that because I seeing Skeet in the movie was cool because he was the only thing I've seen him in a long time was that Riverdale show. Is it what he was in, Riverdale? Which, look, dude, talk all the shit you want, folks. I watched the hell out of that show, man. It was pretty good. Sabrina was better, but I like both of those shows, man. Those are nostalgic for me for some reason. They just feel like I've seen them before. I don't know. I like them. The way they filmed those shows. I also was kind of a fan of the Scream TV show, but you know,
I haven't seen the Scream TV show. I've seen all the movies. I liked the Billy Loomis CGI. I was like, holy, like it looks so good to me. Like I was like,
no, I'm definitely not. It had nothing to do with the quality of the CGI. I thought that was. So wait, that was all CGI?
Well, no, not all CGI. The de-aging. So
the de-aging. Okay. So yeah. I thought all that was fine. My only, and again, nitpicking here, I just didn't think it was necessary to have her seeing him. I thought that was a little bit corny. But again, nitpicking. I mean, overall, would I take that over most stuff I see in most horror movies these days? Yes. Did you see Halloween Kills last year? Are you fucking kidding me? That movie was trash, dude. Like, so, I mean, the fact that that's, you know what? That's what made me nervous. We got Candyman last year. Wasn't good. Halloween wasn't good. I mean, the Saw movie wasn't good. Like, so I was just like, oh, here we go. And then it was coming out in January. I was like, oh, no. I was like, did they watch this and realize what they had and go, oh, let's just throw it out in January. They'll forget about it by the end of the year. And So
yeah,
I think we got kind of lucky, man. We got kind of lucky as big fans of the franchise.
I thought it was a really good movie. One of my favorites in the franchise. Another thing, not only was Wes Craven not returning, but Kevin Williamson wasn't writing.
Correct.
And I'm a big fan of Kevin Williamson as a writer. I like, not only did I love the Scream movies, but then also he did like I Know What You Did Last Summer, and he wrote like, and embarrassingly I watched like Dawson's Creek growing up as well. So like,
dude, who didn't watch that? Oh man, I watched some bad TV growing up, man. Oh. That's awesome.
I loved it though.
It's so 90s, bro. It's so 90s. If you're our age, dude, don't tell me you didn't watch that stuff. It's like telling me you didn't watch Saved by the Bell. Get out of here. Like, I didn't watch Fresh Prince. Yeah, you did. I still watch that show. Like, get out of here with that mess. Dawson's Creek. That's when like the teen drama TV shows really took a turn. Like without that one, we wouldn't have the what's the one with the real big blue-eyed girl who's from Katy, Texas? It was her and her mom. Oh man.
No More Girls.
Yes, without Dawson's Creek, that show wouldn't have happened. And without that show, there's a ton of stuff that wouldn't have happened. I mean, oh god, here we go, embarrassing myself. Did you ever watch Gossip Girl? Because without any of all those shows, that show wouldn't happen. And that show was amazing. Like, oh bro, we're
those are cool horror guys.
Oh man, yeah, right.
Out about these.
That's amazing. Oh, jeez. All right. Yeah, okay. Dude, I got to ask you this. Did you ever hear the term elevated horror before this movie?
Yeah.
Did you really? I had never heard that before. And by the end of that movie, I was like, oh, no. Because I am not a fan of elevated horror. Like, out of every 10 of them that come out, there's probably 2 or 3 that I like. But, like, most of the time, 60, 70% of the time, I could take it or leave it. No, they're not all bad, but like I just don't. That's not my genre of choice. I prefer like more splattery, less serious, less highbrow stuff. Like A24 films, they're like a 50-50 for me, man. I'll go watch them and it's like I have no idea if I'm gonna like it. So
yeah, sometimes they can be a little bit too slow paced for my liking. So I like a little bit more action in my horror, and a lot of these elevated horror, they're like slow burns, deep dives into these characters. That's not like, I don't really like watching dramas that much because it's slow. It's like, come on, let's pick up the pace here.
You did pick a good one though, because that girl liked the Babadook, and that movie is scary. Like that movie scared the shit out of me. Like as an adult, like 2 years ago, like I was like, oh cool, the Babadook, and I wasn't told much about it. I just kept getting told like, you need to watch this, you need to watch this, you need to watch this. And so when I had some time, I was by myself, like 2 in the morning. I was like, I throw on Babadook. That little kid was annoying, but the movie was terrifying. I was like, oh my goodness, I couldn't sleep. I already have sleep problems. I was like, oh my goodness.
The thing with horror though is like, it's so much as like how invested you are into it. Because I watched the Babadook and it wasn't a good experience, but it was like daytime and I was like on my phone watching it at home. You know what I mean? Like when you watch a horror movie, you gotta be like lights out, immersed, so that you feel the thrills and stuff like that. So I kind of ruined the Babadook for myself by not watching it properly.
That's a tough one to watch like that. Like I can rewatch a horror movie on my phone, but like watching one for the first time, I kind of want to be like, you can't see what's really going on in here, but over my shoulder there's a 55-inch TV, and then right here, right where my hand's at, there's a sound bar, and I got 5.1 surround sound in my office, so that when everybody's asleep, because I'm further away from everybody, I can turn on the movies and really just like, I have a little chair sitting here and I can just zone out and like really like focus on a movie, and I get, it's not a high quality surround sound system, but I'm in a really small room, man. It doesn't need to be. I just want to get the effects of having things behind me or having leaves rustle in my, over my shoulder this way, or and watching stuff like the Babadook in here is a lot of fun, man. I really appreciate my wife for letting me have this room.
Let's get into Scream 5 a bit more though. Like, what were your like kind of favorite moments in it, or favorite characters in it?
I don't even know how to answer that, man, because there's so much that I liked about it. There wasn't really much that I didn't like about it, which is the problem, because I liked so much of it. I'll tell you what. I'm going to go the other direction and tell you what I didn't really care about it, because that's the only way I can decipher things. What I didn't really like was the girl that had the curly hair, and that was like she was like the Randy, kind of. I thought she overdid it a couple times. And again, just so everybody understands, I'm legitimately nitpicking this because I liked the movie a lot, like a whole lot. It might end up being my favorite horror movie of the year if Terrifier 2 doesn't come out. So like, it's very high on my list of movies. I don't really know how to say what I like the best because I liked all of it. Excuse me. I really enjoyed so much. I thought Courtney Cox did a really great job of like not hamming it up too much because she could have been bad. She could have been really bad. And they like kept her grounded and like didn't give her too much screen time, which I hate saying it like that, but like that was a good move. Because I like Courtney Cox. I feel bad that she got shit on for the last 10 years for like stuff that everybody goes through as a human being, man, insecurities and things, and she did some stuff that people made fun of her for, and I just, it sucks. So it was cool to see her back and doing something really great. Nev Campbell did a good job. You know what my favorite part was? I'm tripping, dude. It was Dewey by a fucking mile. That was my favorite part. But like, how did I not think about that? That was my favorite part. Dewey, anything he did was my favorite part.
Yeah, Dewey's kind of the heart of the franchise, and felt like getting your heart ripped out when he's just going down, and he's such a like kind of aw shucks lovable guy.
I called that like a year ago. I knew it was gonna be Dewey. Dewey's the one everybody loves. I wasn't gonna be Nev Campbell because they're not gonna that's too obvious. Of course it'd be Nev Campbell. And it wasn't gonna be Courtney Cox because nobody cares. It's gonna be Dewey because everybody gives a shit about Dewey. Everybody cares about Dewey.
I thought if they were going to do one, it would be Courtney Cox because...
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, and you're right. People wouldn't be as emotionally invested in it, but I thought like maybe financially, like she doesn't need to be doing these movies. She's set up from that Friends money.
That's true. That's true.
Get her in for one last one and kill her off sort of thing. I thought, David Arquette might be doing these for like a lot more, this is kind of like the only thing I really see him in. And
dude, he's got 2 more movies coming out this year.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff. It's just not like, billboards all over the city type stuff. It's like lower budget independent movies. But yeah, he's got another one coming out. It's like a Western horror movie. He does a lot of horror stuff. A lot of horror, a lot of wrestling stuff. I don't know if he does the wrestling stuff anymore because he's getting a little older, but like, yeah, he's done that stuff his whole career. He's one of my favorite actors. So I really enjoyed David Arquette. But yeah, it was a gut punch watching that happen. I was like, oh shit, it happened. I was like, oh, I really didn't want it to happen. Like, Rick.
Yeah, and as soon as he was like, I didn't do the headshot, and what they say to him is, because he cares or something like that, like or something.
Yeah, they're like, who cares? He's like, I do, and I was like, oh no, don't go, no, that's just like saying I'll be right back. No, don't do it.
Yeah. That was a tough one to watch when he's going down. For me, my favorite kind of sequence is when Sheriff Judy's son is in the house, and the killer's like going to get him, and there's all these like fake outs, like he's opening the freezer, and it's like
8 of them.
Yeah, he's gonna be behind the freezer, and then he's not, and then this, and then he's not, and then he's not, and it's like, oh, when are they gonna do it? And like the suspense was just like building so high, and then Sheriff Judy gets it. I was like, no,
dude. Okay, now that you're talking, so just so you understand, my memory is so bad that I watched it last night because I knew I was gonna forget a bunch of stuff. It's just something that I deal with on a daily basis. It's like legitimate hindrance to my success, but yes, when I watched the movie the first time, that might have been the most tense moment in the movie and the most shocking because I didn't see it coming. Like, dude, I watch a lot of horror movies. Most of the time, like, I called the killer real early in the movie. I knew Dewey was going to get it from way back when I mentioned the movie's coming out. But that got me. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, wow. And, like, how brutal were the kills in this movie?
Yeah,
they were
pretty full on.
They were like really violent. Like, remember the very first kill? The dude in the parking lot pissing on the side of that building?
Yeah.
And then they play that movie Red Right Hand. I mean that song, excuse me. They play the song Red Right Hand. It's like that. I think it's been in Scream a lot. I think it's been in the Scream movies a lot, hasn't it? That song?
Yeah, it did sound familiar.
Okay, so that song plays, and as soon as that song came on, I was like, oh, this dude's getting it. I was like, oh, shit. And then I remember the trailer shows Ghostface pop up behind that dude, and I was like, oh, shit, he must have really getting it. But the way he got it, was so unexpected. It was so violent, but it was only one move. He just went hot in that dude's neck, and it didn't make much noise. And he was just like, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. Like that happens in like the first 10 minutes.
One thing that was really surprising.
Actually, that was the second. Oh, first kill, I guess, but second attack.
Yeah, what was really surprising to me was Tara Carpenter, Sam's younger sister, surviving. Because it looked like she was dying.
I knew that she wasn't going to die, because how are they going to do the exact same thing from the first movie? They can't do it exactly the same. So, like, whenever... I will say that I went back and watched the trailer again just to see what it was telling me, and the trailer did make it seem like she was going to die. So, like, I do expect most people to think, okay, she's gone. And I guess I was a little surprised, but not really. Like, I was like, okay, yeah, because that's the catalyst to this whole thing. Like... There's a few things that didn't really make a lot of sense. Not much though, man. I think they did a really good job of putting it all together, man. I like the killers. I thought that was good choices. You kind of have to go with those choices though. And there's like a bunch of tells in the movie. If you watch it 3 and 4 times like I did, like last night, I was paying attention to like other shit. Like I was watching it so I could find out, okay, what were they telling us before we got told? And there's a bunch of stuff that tells you who the killer is. Like, within like maybe starting at like minute 15 or so, and then all the way up through the end of the movie, there's so many things that happen. Little looks that they give each other, little nods, facial expression changes. Dewey called it right there right from the jump.
Yeah, the thing though, like, did I think Richie was the killer? Yes. Was I certain? You never know. Like they could do a fake out, and you know, so as much as it was kind of telegraphed, I was still second guessing it on the first watching the whole way through. I was kind of glad that they didn't go with the was it Jamie Kennedy's niece and nephew. I was like, I wasn't really totally invested with them. One thing I didn't like was the shrine to Jamie Kennedy. It just seems so unrealistic to me. Like, you know, like we've all got family members that passed away. You put like a little picture on the mantle. You don't put like this like huge thing. The picture was,
I think it might have been because the girl was such a fan of horror movies like him. I think maybe that's what they were trying to. But yeah, I mean, they really just wanted him in the movie more, and they couldn't because he was, you know, these characters not there. So okay. The one thing that I was the most disappointed in was that there was nothing about Matthew Lillard in this movie, except that guy at the beginning was like his sister's kid or some nonsense. I was so disappointed in that, because he's probably my favorite character in the entire franchise.
He's mine too. That's crazy.
I'm telling you, we got a lot in common, dude.
It was Stu Macher's house, right? And that's where the killings happened. So there was that aspect of it, but yeah, I was hoping for more too, because you got Billy Loomis in there, get Stu back in there. I always like Stu more. Like when he gets stabbed and he's like, "You're killing me, man." I was like, that's just like it ingrained in my brain, right? Like it's just how twisted that those two were, and how they were willing.
Shit, the way he maneuvers his body and talks, I love that guy. I love everything he's ever done except Scooby-Doo. Well, Scooby-Doo's kind of tight.
Yeah, it's just he's my favorite killer, and out of all the Scream movies.
Oh, dude, hands down, without a doubt, for sure. I have a fan of the channel that at some point is supposed to be getting me an authorized official film, like used on film Scream 2 mask signed by him. So if that happens, that might actually be the coolest piece of like movie shit that I own. Like that's, oh man, Matthew Lillard's the fucking man. That guy's awesome, dude. I was a little sad, but I mean, the whole time it was coming out, I was thinking to myself, how would they make that happen? I didn't see the Billy Loomis stuff coming, so that was, so for as much as I was nitpicking that, it was cool because I didn't see it coming. When he popped up, I was like, interesting. Okay, like I mean, if you're a real fan of the stuff, you'll be able to appreciate all of it, I think.
Another reason why I felt like the Richie as the killer was kind of telegraphed was because of the actor they cast, like Quaid.
Oh, buddy from The Boys.
Yeah. He's like kind of like the biggest star out of like the younger characters, and it's like he's probably gonna be the killer. Like when you watch like Law and Order, like SVU, it's like the special guest star, you know, is like Ted Danson. It's like, well, he's the one who's the killer, like obviously, and you know.
I 100% agree with that. Like, what? Yes, because that's the first thing that I thought when I saw him. I was like, oh, I didn't know he was in this. He must be the killer. And I literally leaned over to my buddy who doesn't give a shit. We were like playing a game about it, and I was like, that's the killer. Like at the very beginning of the movie, I was like, that's the one. And then, you know, at the end of it, he like looked at me. I was like, I told you, bro, that's the one, man. And whatever, I don't care. It's just a movie. But like, yeah, man. The girl being like on the psychotic med thing, I just kind of thought was a little much. There was a few things that, again, if I have to nitpick about it, I would change. But overall, I will watch this movie. I mean, I literally went and saw it in the theater 4 times. You can't dislike a movie that you do that with. Like, I only saw Spider-Man twice, and my kids named after Spider-Man. So that should tell you how much I care about this franchise. I really, when I heard it was coming out, I got like emotional about it. I was so excited because horror movies, I'm not a big Halloween fan. I'm not a big Friday the 13th fan. I'm a huge Texas Chainsaw fan. But like, Scream is the one that I like. That's the one that I'm 39 years old, and that's the movie that I mean, when I watched Scream 1 the first time, like you said, you watched it on a VCR, right? So did I. I was in my friend's house. I don't know if you know anything about Cypress. Do you know anything about Cypress, Texas? You're not from here, right? Okay, Cypress is northwest Texas, and back in the 90s, Cypress wasn't built up. It was like podunk shit, like it was country. And my friend had a house on some land, and I mean, like, I guess looking back on it, it's probably only a couple acres, but when you're a kid, a couple acres is a lot of land. So to me, it felt like we were on this fucking ranch, you know? And so I go to his house at night, and we're sitting in the living room, lights are out, and he's like, yo, let's watch this movie Scream. I'm like, yo, and I hadn't, at that point, been, like, immersed in horror. I'd watched some of it, knew I liked it, but I also was a little scared of horror movies, to be honest. You know, I was like, what, 15 or something like that? And so, I was 14. And so I'm sitting on this chair, the phone rings. Before the movie starts, the phone rings. He picks it up. Hey man, are you gonna watch this movie? I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, I'll be right back. I'm going to my girl's house. And I was like, oh, this fucker ain't coming back. So I watched that movie by myself in this house in the middle of nowhere. And I won't say that it like really scared me, but it had my paranoia at a level that I haven't experienced very many times in my life. And so I naturally go, that's the feeling I'm searching for when I watch horror movies, and I don't get it very often. Paranormal Activity in the theater, I happened to watch it when I think the first time I watched it, there wasn't a lot of people in the theater, and it was real scary. Not many movies get me like that, man. And that one, Scream 1, got me when I was a young man, high school kid, and it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, I had Scream 1 on VHS, and I watched it like probably 10 times in my bedroom, just like, whoa, this is so cool. And I hadn't really ever seen anything like that.
Nothing.
The one that
Nightmare.
Scream 2. I went and I saw it in the theater. My older cousin, actually, she's my co-writer on Cover of Darkness.
Well, that's cool.
She's my cousin, Chris Cam. She's older than me, and so she took me to the theater to see Scream 2 on like opening night. Because I wasn't old enough, right? And I remember there's a part, it's stupid, it's just like a jump scare where like a cat jumps down, and I screamed in the movie theater. I was like, ah! And some like giant dude like 3 rows up ahead of me turned around and was like, dude, this movie isn't even scary, and you just scared the shit out of me. It's like, be quiet.
Dan, you know how I saw Scream 2? So back then, look, anybody that's like under the age of 30 watching this video, you got to understand, back when we were going to theaters, what we're talking about, there was no reserved seats. There was none of that. You would go up and you would wait in line, and you would hope that there was an available ticket, and then you would hope you were early enough to get a decent seat. The front like 3 rows were terrible, but they packed us in those theaters, man. And the seats were tiny, and I would go to the theater at that age. I was like 15 or so, maybe close to 16 even, and I was starting to be a little badass, and we would sneak into theaters. And I remember Scream 2, we got in through the side door of the Cinemark if anybody's from Houston, you'll know where this is at. Over on Tidwell and 290, it's a Tinseltown Theater now. We snuck in the side door and sat on the staircase that was going up the side by the chairs. So we didn't even sit in a chair. We sat on the stairs, and then we got in trouble, like maybe like the beginning of the third act. But the usher was just like, he was so irritated that he was just like, whatever, just fucking finish the movie. Like he didn't want to deal with it. It was 3 of us, and I got to watch it like that. And so I don't know that I ever really got scared in the movie because I was young and cutting up and watching it. But like, man, it was such a those movies are the ones that I think of. And like Ninja Turtles 1 is playing out here in the Alamo soon. And that's the first movie I can remember seeing in the theater that I saw more than once, waited in a very long line, like with my whole family. Like that's the first one I can think of. So I'm going to go see that in the theater soon. But Scream is right up there with it as far as what I saw in the theaters. Like one of my memories of movies when I was younger, it's only a handful of flicks, and that's one of them.
I think the killers in Scream 5, I'm seeing some people like kind of hate on them, but for me, like,
really?
Because I enjoyed the movie. Yeah, some people are like kind of saying, oh, these are like the worst or on the bottom end, because there's been 9 killers in the Scream franchise so far in the movies, and they're saying, oh, these guys are like bottom end. Like for me, at the top, it's Stu. I really like Mrs. Loomis from Scream 2. Because
the lady from Roseanne, right?
Yeah. Because I didn't see it coming, like, at all. And and when she reveals who she is, well, that motivation makes sense, right? And there's like a personal connection to Sydney, because so I really liked her. I like Mickey from Scream 2 as well. And what's the name of that actor? He was in Justified, and
Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah, no, he's so good, right? And he's really
probably
like
in my top 3.
Yeah, so I really like Mickey, and then Billy, and then after that, I think it's probably Richie, just because, it's pretty twisted for him to get with Smith, the carpenter.
If you really think about what he did, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think if you think about what he did, it was super messed up. Like, bro, like that's rough.
And they've had this commentary on the Scream movies throughout the franchise, where it's been kind of meta and self-aware, but to talk about like the toxic fandom and take it to a level where it's like the fans actually taking control, like they've done the with Mickey and with the Macaulay Culkin's brother, where they've been like kind of super horror fans, or and they've been the killer before, but to have it be kind of instigated to such a degree, because those other 2 characters were kind of the secondary killer to Jill and to Mrs. Loomis, whereas this one, Richie is like the super fan that's really taking charge and kind of writing his own history that he wants to see in the stab movies. Yeah,
man. So just, I don't know if you know this or not, I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but I have a head injury, which is what causes my memory problems. All the little details, man, I just can't recall them. I know that I would say out of my least favorite killers in the whole series is probably Macaulay Culkin's brother. I thought that was super dumb. I thought that that girl, Julia Roberts' niece, I thought that was super lame. Those are probably the worst in the whole series, even though that movie was still pretty good. The movie was pretty good, but if I had to rank the killers, I think it would probably go Scream 4 killers are the worst, Scream 3 killers are after that, and then 2, and then the new one, and then 1 would be the best, I think, and then the new one's probably second best, at least to me. I don't see how people don't like that. I don't understand that. I don't really, I'm so busy all the time, I don't get to read anything, I don't get to watch very many reviews, so I don't really know what people are talking about. I'm a little surprised to hear you say that people aren't liking the new killers.
Yeah, I think a lot of people aren't. For me, Amber, the Richie's kind of the other killer, the guy, the woman who killed Dewey. I don't know. I didn't feel like her motivation was there as much, and so
I felt. So the motivation, I like that there was no motivation. She's a psycho. She's like, She's like, she likes this dude. She didn't stab him in the back, which I liked. That means that she's just with this guy. She likes this guy, and she's his Bonnie to his Clyde, dude. Like, she's just down for whatever, bro. I like that there's no reasoning behind it. It's just like Halloween. The whole reason Halloween was good is because you're like, so why was he so mad and killing people? They're like, I don't tell you. There's no reason. Like, my wife is not of that ilk, dude. She cannot handle that. And when we watched Halloween for the first time, she had never seen it. And we watched Halloween, she couldn't wrap her head around the fact that there was no reason behind him doing all that. She's like, there's got to be a reason. I'm like, there's no reason. That's why it's good. And she's like, no, that's not why it's good. That's not good. And I'm like, no, that's awesome. So I like that she doesn't have much of a reasoning behind her actions. It's more of, she just wants to be doing it. And I'm like, whoa, that's dangerous. Like, I mean, look what she did. True. Look what she did. She like lied to their face in the room more than one time. No, fuck you, Clyde, you know? And then I like the, as soon as they hit her with that thing and she goes, what is this fucking hand sanitizer? The moment she said hand sanitizer, I was like, oh, she's getting lit up. I was like, let's go. They're going to burn this girl. I mean, why else would she have said that, you know?
Yeah, no, that was cool. Actually, you know, now that you're like kind of making me look at it a different way, it is kind of cool. You're right.
Right. I like it because there's no rhyme or reason, and you're like, well, if that's the case, she's unhinged. What is she really capable of? Because if you think about it, she was the most fucked up out of all of them. Because, dude, that girl's like screaming in the room, and she's like, I'm not the killer. She's like, yeah, I know. Bam! Shoots her in the head, dude. Like, shoots her in the head in front of everybody. That's how you get the reveal. Is somebody gets blown away in front of everybody? Like, that's nuts to me, dude.
Yeah, that was cool.
And then Nev Campbell then don't really know, and so I kind of like that we knew, and so we're like, all right, how are they gonna react, you know? And I like that Courtney Cox got shot right there. That was a good choice, because if Courtney Cox had shot that girl, I think that would have been really lame. Like, because Courtney Cox isn't like that. Nev Campbell's character is like that, not Courtney Cox's character, to me.
I was surprised that the twins survived. Like, especially the guy. He looked like he got messed up. Like,
I was a little bummed out that the twins survived, to be honest with you. I want as high a body count as we can get in these movies, because it's a horror movie. It's what we're here for.
But at the same time, it's nice to have a sequel, and it's nice to have a couple characters survive too, and see what happens with them next.
I mean, the main two survive. That's all we need. If they survive, you know, what are we gonna have next time? They're gonna be hanging out. I don't know. I feel like if the main two, the two sisters, you know, the two half sisters, whatever, had survived, and the twins had died, then the half sisters could go into a different town, and you could have an actual sequel where it's those two are the only two people from the other movie. They're starting their life over, and some jackass in that town figures out who they are, and then that person decides, and then you get to figure out who it is, because you don't know anybody from that town. Now, if the four people go into this town, you're like, oh, okay, so maybe it's the twins. They're decided that they're finally tired of, you know, they're mad because they got stabbed up in the first one, so now they're like coming back and they're gonna act all crazy, and it starts to get a little ridiculous to me. So, but you know,
one thing that's getting kind of stretched out though is like Sydney coming back to Woodsboro. Like she wouldn't go, and like, you know, her Dewey dying made sense for her to go for like a funeral, but for her to show up so instantly, it's like, all right, I guess so. But I can almost see a Scream franchise without Nev Campbell, which I never thought I would say.
I'm ready for her to be out of it. I'm ready for the two half sisters to take that torch and run with it. Give her the baton, let her take off with it. The young girl with the freckles on her face that's going to be in that movie X, I don't remember her name. The main girl got stabbed at the beginning of the movie. She's young, she's pretty, and she's a good enough actor where she can take this and do what she wants with it. I think if they really want her to do another movie or two, I think we could get a lot out of her abilities as an actor and her character. Personally, that's what I think.
Yeah, like I just don't think it makes sense. Like a Nev Campbell like cameo where maybe she's on the phone or she's in a thing, okay. But like,
that would be cool. Call her for some advice, you know. Yeah,
but for her to be back in the action again, it's like it's just kind of stretching the believability out of it.
Yeah, and I think the only thing that I'm hoping doesn't happen, because it would be so lame, and I know you know where I'm going with this, dude. is for Billy Loomis's daughter to end up being a killer of any kind. If they make that happen, I will be so disappointed, because that is like, of course, like that needs to, what would make it interesting is if she is able to fight that and not become that. That is a real fight. That is what I want to see. I want to see her maybe even like have to go to some therapy to deal with it or something. Like let's really dig into these characters, man. Like let's hear her daily struggle with that, and let's see, like let's have an episode where the freaking pharmacy runs out of her meds and she's like really like losing it, and then she gets some kind of help, you know, like okay, let's teeter on the edge of that without going into it, and then you get like a really tense, passionate moment that you're gonna have like, oh, she killed a bunch. Oh, of course she did. Like, awesome. Now she's in jail. She can't help her sister. That's so stupid. Like, that's what I feel like a bad writer would do, or a money grab would do. And so if Scream 6 comes out in 2023 or 24, that's probably what's going to happen. It's going to be a bummer, man. I hope that they're like, all right, pump the brakes, guys. Let's take a deep breath. We enjoyed this success. Let's write a good movie if we're going to do another one. If they're going to, I don't know if they're going to do another one, but.
Oh, I think they're going to do another one. This one made.
Yeah, I mean, I almost said that, but like, yeah, they made a lot of money. It's already hit 100 million.
Yeah. Yeah, in like pandemic times too, and not everyone's going out. Bro, how crazy.
Dude, what about Spider-Man? It's like on $1 billion, like in the US.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Now I'm happy that they're finally finding some success, man, because a lot of movies just fizzled out. I mean, look at Tenet. And there was one that came out in December. Oh, Nightmare Alley just kind of came and fizzled out, and that movie is amazing. But
yeah, I saw it in theaters as well.
I just saw it in black and white on Monday.
Oh, I didn't even know that was an option.
That movie was made to see in black and white, bro. It was awesome.
One thing I did like about Samantha Carpenter is when she kills Richie, she's like, what did she say? Like, you know, never fuck with like a serial killer's daughter.
Yeah, and dude, she
went to town. Yeah, I was like, yes, all right. Like, it's nice to see like a final girl that's like pretty tough. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't just survive. Like, she killed him. You know.
That's why I think that those two sisters could take the baton from Nev and let them go out and do their own story, man. I think.
Maybe for a couple films, right? And then have Nev come back at like Scream 10 or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
and be like a little older and have her like pull some Jamie Lee Curtis shit, but maybe not as lame as Halloween Kills. God, I'm so sad about that movie, man. Oh, ruined it. But yeah, man, this was what a great sequel. Like, I'll be honest, man, I just wasn't expecting it to be this good, because we get let down so frequently, and not even in horror, just in film. Like, we get these movies that they just churn out. And I remember when I heard about Scream, I believe it was over a year ago. It was a long time ago. And I was like, they're doing another Scream? And I saw, like, looked it up, and I didn't know much. They didn't have much information other than it was in the process of being made. And I was like, huh. I was like, well, Wes is out, obviously. And I was like, is Kevin still in? And then I find out, no, he's not in. And then I was like, oh no. And I was like, oh my goodness, what are we gonna get? And so I was naturally really worried. And I genuinely care about this franchise. I mean, if you can't tell, I light up like a Christmas tree every time we start talking about it. I really, really like this franchise a lot. It's important to me, and I'm extremely happy with what they gave us. I think that we could have easily been disappointed.
Yeah, Scream is my all-time horror franchise favorite. So to get a really, really, really good installment that sets up new characters to put into a new direction, this is awesome. Like, you know, Give me more. Like, please don't make me wait another 10 plus years.
Man,
like,
if we can get it in 18 to 24 months, I think that's plenty of time for them to write, film, edit, and put one out. You know, they can start marketing it, and within about a year of it coming out, and really get it out. It'll make another 100 million plus. And I really believe that if they do it the right way, it'll be a smashing success, because this movie came out of kind of nowhere and just blew people's minds. This movie is kicking the crap out of the last 12 months worth of horror movies. And it's honestly, it's kind of bittersweet, because like, I don't want to not like the new Halloween Candyman Saw. I really Saw, bro, that's one of my favorite horror movies too. And you're gonna give me Spiral? Did you see Spiral?
I liked Spiral. I really liked it a lot. Chris Rock is one of my favorites. Like he's one of my all-time favorites comedians. I think he's an underrated dramatic actor. I thought Spiral was solid. Didn't blow me away.
Really?
Yeah, dude. And I like Candyman too. I didn't like Halloween Kills.
I felt Candyman out of the three was probably my favorite. Was Candyman, but it wasn't what I was hoping it was going to be based on the trailer. The trailer made me think. I was like, this is going to be amazing. Spiral, I thought that had, because I agree with you. I think that he's a very underrated dramatic actor. Then why are you having him crack these whack ass jokes the whole movie? That none of them landed, dude. He seemed like he didn't want to be there, and it's like, okay, he's trying too hard to do dramatic and funny, and it doesn't mesh with him. He's not good at doing dramatic and funny. You know who's good at that? Adam Sandler. Maybe that's the only one. Like, there's not many people that can do dramatic and funny at the same time. Like, I wanted to like Saw so bad because I love that franchise, and I love Chris Rock, man. So it's Samuel L. Jackson, bro. Come on.
For me, the Saw franchise, some of the entries are just not that strong for me. So this one, I think Spiral was probably like my second favorite after the original.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I
that's like number
5
for me. It'd probably like Saw 1, Saw 2. Let's see, 1, 2. Probably Jigsaw after that because of how insane it really is. It's a sequel and a prequel at the same time, and that's just I do know it's kind of ridiculous, but I enjoyed it. Okay, so maybe 4, maybe I don't know. No, dude, it's way down there. I really was disappointed with it. Anyways, yeah. So okay, how'd you feel about at the beginning of the movie of Scream 5, or the beginning of the film, when the phone rings? And they start talking, and she starts naming off all these elevated horror films. Did you find it that was kind of like a dig at them? Like they were kind of giving them shit?
Yeah, a little bit, because Scream is a slasher, and and
no, I do believe it was respectful, but I think that they were like talking some shit.
What's interesting to me is, like, in a lot of ways, like, you consider Scream to be like the original elevated horror because it was kind of meta and self-aware, but it was still like the original Scream was really pretty groundbreaking in that way.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that a lot of these newer kind of elevated horror movies, they're not that much fun, and so I think that's kind of what they were kind of the killer on the other line.
That's exactly right. Well, they said, listen to what she said. She said, Babadook, what was it? She said Babadook, Hereditary.
It Follows, I think.
It Follows, Midsummer, and The Witch. Bro, every one of those movies are extremely bleak and extremely slow paced. I just watched Hereditary the other night because I'm doing my podcast tomorrow night on Hereditary. It was actually my pick, and I'm not a fan of the movie. I picked it so I could rewatch it and force myself to watch it, and I watched it with an objective, I just wanted to see, and I won't talk about it much because I don't want my friends to see this and then know what we're going to talk about, but I do think that it was a jab at those movies because they literally go, she tells him those movies, and then he goes, those are boring. Like, right, just flat out. And I was like, ooh, he was shitting on them a little bit. Now, I do think that if you were to ask the people that made this movie, so how do you feel about those movies? You'd be like, no, they're great films because they are good. They're objectively well made. You can't tell me that. I'll just say this, man. With Hereditary, I will say that I missed a bunch of the cinematography the first couple of viewings of it, because there was a lot of really great camera work in that movie. But I don't go to horror movies to watch the cinematography. I just don't. I don't want to. I don't care. They can have some fucking 16-year-old chewing a candy bar holding the camera. It's shaking and shit. And as long as it's cool stuff happening, I'm happy. And that's not, if you want to make a movie like that, go make a drama, in my opinion. But, there's other people that don't agree with that, and that's cool too. It's okay.
Yeah, like it's a slow burn, and some, like the Lake House came out last year. I don't know if you saw that one, but holy shit, was it good. It was as one of my favorite horror movies of last year.
No, I don't recall seeing that one. Who's in it? Anybody I would know?
Not really, no.
Sorry, I'm gonna write it down. I'll watch it this week.
Yeah, the Lake House, good one. But
I think it was on my list to watch and just never got around to it.
Yeah. The thing with that is, like, it's great, and it's and like if you can get immersed into it, then you're in. But it can be so slow, and you're watching like a character like kind of unravel slowly, and it's like the slow descent into madness. And it's, you know, sometimes you want things to just be a little bit more poppy and like, you know, and just have some fun with it.
I like how she said how the girl said, he's like, did you ever see Stab? And she's like, oh yeah, it's so 90s. It was all overlit and everybody's had bad hair. I was like, ooh, that's very accurate. I was like, oh man, everyone is very overlit. They had terrible haircuts. But I mean, I like that they can poke fun at themselves as well as in somebody else. And I do think there's a time and a place for a slow burn elevated horror movie. I mean, look at some of the most classic horror movies that exist. I'm not big fans of them, admittedly, but The Exorcist, Rosemary's Baby, The Omen, these are all really slow burn. Those are like elevated horror movies of the past. Like there's two genres of horror, man. They don't crisscross very often.
You're very right, and I like both kind of styles, but
yeah, you know, I gotta be in a specific mood for the slower stuff though.
Yeah, a good slasher though, man, like that is just a fun time. So you know, that's what the Scream franchise has been, and I was really happy to get a new Scream.
It was a very good slasher movie, and it was a very good whodunit. I was happy that my best buds liked it, man, because I was gonna say, like, that's my two best friends. There's like three of us. It's me, my friend Chris, my friend Josh. It kind of goes in that row too. It's me, Chris, Josh, and then Josh and I are the furthest apart in what we really, really love. And Chris kind of overlaps with both of us. And then we all three overlap a little bit. I was so happy that they liked Scream, because it would have crushed me if they were like, yeah, that shit's trash. Like, I wouldn't, you know, whatever, but like, just why? Because yeah, man, and they've really, my tastes have changed a lot watching movies with these guys. But so, okay, Scream 1's obviously your favorite, correct?
Yeah.
Does this one fall as number 2 for you, or is it number 2?
No, Scream 2 is my second favorite. Okay. And then Scream 5, and Scream 4, and then Scream 3.
So I think I'm basically on the same path as you, but I think 2 and 5 are just gonna flip-flop over and over and over and over, because I've seen Scream 2 so many times that I'm like, okay, this is fresh and new, and but you know, after 10 viewings, I'm gonna probably be like, okay, no, Scream 2 is where it needs to be. It needs to be, because they go so well together. 1 and 2 are so good together.
Yeah, and Scream 3 and Scream 4 at the bottom are pretty close to me, because Scream 3 I felt was a real departure, so there was quite a bit of disappointment for me. But I like the killer, Roman. I like him better than the killers in Scream 4. So while I thought Scream 4 was a better movie, I liked, you know, the Scream 3 killer.
We have like the exact same thought patterns. It's so weird. But yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about it. I will say I think Scream 4 is a better movie, so I have to put it above Scream 3, but I do prefer the killer in Scream 3. Yeah, it's so strange how we've been on the same wavelength the whole conversation. That's wild. Yeah. That never happens with me. I usually like, there's something to like bicker about. That's amazing. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's not a whole lot else to talk about without just talking about the entire fucking movie, about everything that happens in it. But what's up with I do think they could have taken out the first guy, the guy at the bar, the little white trash guy. I feel like they like forced him in the movie so that we could get a connection to Stu. And I think that they could have done that better. While I like that the guy who played the character, I'm fine with it. The character, fine with it. But in, out, with nothing is what, either give it to me or don't. Is kind of how I felt about it. Like, I wanted either a little bit more, or just don't even mess with it. Like, don't even put him in there. Use the house as the connection to Stu, and not this character. Is one of the other things that I would probably nitpick about it.
Yeah, I wasn't buying him as like a potential main killer, because they were kind of teasing like he's like this bad dude, and like, well, maybe he's the killer. I was like, he's not.
Yeah, yeah, that was definitely for like a kid that's 12 and hasn't seen a horror movie before. Maybe they'll think that, because I definitely didn't even consider him a threat or a possible hero.
One that I thought was like most likely to potentially be a killer that wasn't was the girlfriend of. So there was like the male twin, his girlfriend.
Really?
I thought that she could be the killer.
The only one that I was skeptical of was
it was between her and Amber. So sorry, it was between her and Amber. I was like, it's one of those two. Is because I thought I was kind of disappointed that there was two killers, but I understand that, like, as from a storytelling point of view, it's so good to have two killers, because you can have fake outs and you can have the killer there while
that's the whole thing with Scream, is there's almost always two killers, because they got to do it. It's got to be so, because you got to be able to trick the audience a lot, like you said. The only other person I was a little skeptical of, and I thought would be a really good wrench in things, because you wouldn't have seen it coming, was the sheriff's kid. I was like, okay, if that kid is inserted into this in any way, they're gonna have to explain themselves, because that would be really great, because I don't feel like he's that kind of person. And then when he got killed, I was like, okay. And his death was crazy, man. That knife through his face was nuts. But
yeah, and I was rooting for him, like, come on, you can get out of this, you can get out, and then done. And like, you know, I like the reference to Sheriff Judy's like lemon squares or whatever, because that was in Scream 4, and
oh, that's right.
Courtney Cox is like, I don't want any of your damn lemon squares, and then in this one,
the note in the fridge.
Yeah.
Dude, I forgot about that part of Scream 4. Hell yes, dude. That's what I'm talking about. So out of all the franchises, out of all the movies in the franchise, I think this one had far and away, like by a pretty wide margin, the best kills. Like way, because they were so brutal. Like Halloween Kills had some brutal kills, but they were like over the top brutal, where he's like slamming dudes' heads in the shit and throwing them in the air and hitting them with a. But these were like up close and personal. Like, I don't fucking like you, and I'm gonna murder you with a knife. Not I'm gonna shoot you from 30 paces back. No, it's like, hey, what's up, buddy? Click, 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 and you're just like you getting the sheriff in her own her own front lawn like that, and like, I don't know, man. I thought the kills were really well done in this movie. I think that's got the best kills in the whole franchise. What do you think about that?
Yeah, they're gruesome. I agree with you.
They were almost uncomfortable.
Yeah, you know, honestly, like, I don't really watch. A lot of people get into like the kills and things like that. For me, it's
where we disagree. All right, cool.
Yeah,
finally found something we don't
for me, it's
eye to eye on.
It's the mystery, it's the characters, it's the dialogue, it's the suspense. Suspense is big for me. Like I said, like, my favorite part of the movie is when you know that killer is coming for Sheriff Judy's son Wes, and there's all these kind of like fake outs. Where the killer? When is he gonna come? When is he gonna jump out? That for me is like, that's what I remember. I don't remember so much like the actual death.
No, I was affected by the killings, dude. They were brutal, man. Like, they were almost hard to watch, and I'm a fan of gory stuff. Like, that's what I liked about him, is that was like, man, that was like, in real life, it would be brutal and uncomfortable and gross, and it would be gut-wrenching and scary, and that's what it was, because it was like, man, if somebody like look at the kid. You said that the football player, you were surprised that he lived. Yeah, me too. He got stabbed in the leg and it just started gushing, and then he got stabbed in the stomach twice, and you're like, and then that light of the headlight of the car, I knew he wasn't going to die when the headlights, and the guy stood up. I was like, okay, he's going to live. But I mean, but it was just, dude, it was just so brutal. It was, you know, yeah. But I did like the scene in the house. That was one of the most suspenseful scenes in the whole movie. Random question: is that a Blink-182 shirt?
Yep.
Yeah, let's go. Sorry, I love that band. But cool, man. Yeah, Scream 5. It was amazing. If you haven't seen it yet, hurry up, because it's gonna be out in theaters pretty soon. Just because of the way things work these days. Man, do you remember when movies used to be in the theater for 6-7 months?
Yeah,
it was like, good enough.
I kind of like the shorter. I like the shorter window.
Really?
Yeah, I do. But like, I love going to movies. Like, I probably go to like 50 movies a year in the theater. So.
Oh, I go 2 or 3 times a week. Every week. Wow. I have Alamo season pass, bro. I go. Part of it's my job is movie stuff, so I'm very fortunate. But yeah, I feel you, man. Like, I love going to the theater, but like, man, you don't have to have like 10 showings a day or anything. But good grief, man, keep a movie in. Like, there's a lot of movies that I tell people, oh, you need to go see this, and they go, oh, okay, oh, it's already out. I'm like, it came out 2 weeks ago, and it's already gone. And you know, I guess they're getting them on digital fast, and they're getting them on home, you know, on Blu-ray and whatnot fast. But dude, the theater's still a magical place, man. And but if movies like Spider-Man and Scream keep coming out, it'll rejuvenate the, you know, pulse.
Yeah, I'm psyched for Batman in March, man. That's gonna be
my
crazy.
birthday is March 10th, and I'm so excited for Batman. It looks amazing. Like,
I'm stoked.
I was pretty ready to give up on big budget movies.
You mentioned that your son's name is Parker.
Yeah.
My daughter's name is Ileana, like Ileana Rasputin, Magic from the X-Men.
That's amazing. Really?
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. Dude, we're such dorks. It's great. Oh, it's amazing. It's been awesome talking to you and catching up a little bit, man. We got to maybe do this again in the future. Maybe we do it again when Batman comes out.
That'd be great too. And also, I have a movie review channel. It's called Inside Movies. We talk about like 80s, 90s action movies for the most part. I'd love to have you on as a guest one time.
Anytime, bro. So the only other movies that I watch other than horror movies is 80s, 90s action. Like, that's legitimately, I have a whole other shelf that's all that stuff. Stallone, Schwarzenegger, specifically Van Damme's my guy. Like, the first time I ever saw a breast was when I saw, I'll never forget this, dude. I watched Double Impact. I was like 10 years old. I was in this old grindhouse theater off over in Chinatown, and I watched Double Impact, and we watched Rumble in the Bronx. It was $1. It's either $1.50 or $2, but I got to see both those movies for like $2. And I had Ninja Turtles like pizza snack, like baked. They were disgusting, but I loved them. I don't know why I can remember that, but it was a green bag of, oh, dude, it was so much fun. It was the only time I ever got to go to a like legitimate like grindhouse theater that I can recall. It was this old, I'm sure I went there plenty of times, but I remember that because my dad literally was like, don't tell your mom you saw tits. That's what he told me. Don't tell your mom you saw tits. And I was like, I'm not telling mom that why would I tell my mother that? Like, but I mean, you know, they were separated. So he was don't tell your mom this. Don't tell your mom that. Don't tell her I gave you dude, I had a black cat blow up in my hand once. Don't tell your mom that happened. I'm like, I can't feel anything. She's going to know. Like, but, what are your,
Inside Movies, if you guys want to check that out. Maybe.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the description for sure. That's actually how I stumbled to, like, I went and watched, he had one for Gremlins, and I was like, let's go, Gremlins is awesome. And then I saw you had Jurassic Park. Is it a relatively new channel?
Yeah, we've only been doing it for a few months, and
awesome.
So it's me and 3 other people, and we all make like comic books or novelists and stuff like that.
Oh, you're all creators.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So we all do that.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it's fun, but we sometimes we have like subs, right? Because we have 4 main people, but it's hard getting everybody together for every review.
I mean, it's hard enough for us. We only got 3, so yeah, I totally get it. Dude, hey man, I'm very flexible. Anytime you need somebody to hop in, you tell me what the movie is, I'll get it watched.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Dude, I would love to hang out and meet some new people. But yeah, we'll do it again. We'll keep in touch. And anybody that's interested in film, go check his channel out. I'll put a link in the description. I'll try to throw up a community post on my other channel. It's got like almost 19,000 subscribers now. So see if we can get some people over there, because I got a lot of people that watch movies on my channel. So, but thank you for hanging out. I hope this wasn't too long. I ramble specifically. I'm a talker. So, but thank you for hanging out, everybody. I appreciate your time. Have a good day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.